question we are told that there are some balls which are placed next to each other and they are numbered from 1 to n. We are told that a child picks up two balls which have consecutive numbers and the sum of the remaining balls is 2, 7, 6, 3. So let us assume that the balls which were there are 1, 2, 3, plus n minus 1 and finally n. Out of this, let us assume that the two balls that the child has removed are k and k plus 1. If you add up all the remaining number of balls, we are told that the sum is equal to 2763. Or essentially, the sum of all the numbers from 1 to n, the sum of the consecutive natural numbers starting with 1 till n is known to us, this is equal to n into n plus 1 by 2. From that you subtract the two numbers minus 2k plus 1. This we are told is equal to 2763. If you are trying to get the bounds for n, we will have to minimize and maximize k, because n into n plus 1 by 2 is equal to 2763 plus 2k plus 1. So if you are trying to minimize n, you will minimize k, and if you are trying to maximize n, you will maximize k. So in the first case, let us try to minimize n. If you are trying to minimize n, let us assume that k is equal to 1. And if you are trying to maximize n, we will assume that the maximum value of k, that is the largest ball that can be removed, is n minus 1, because after that we are removing n. So the largest two balls that can be removed are n minus 1 and n. So k will be equal to n minus 1. So using this, we'll get bounds for n. We'll get the smallest value of n and we'll get the largest value of n. And based on it, we'll calculate the value of n. When k is equal to 1, the value of n into n plus 1 by 2, we know is strictly greater than or equal to 2763 plus 3, because when k is equal to 1, 2k plus 1 will equal 3. So this is equal to 2766. Or the value of n into n plus 1 will be greater than or equal to 5532. You can use trial and error to figure out the value of n, the smallest value of n for which this is satisfied, and you will figure out that when n is equal to 74, n plus 1 will equal 75, and the product of 74 and 75 is 5550, which is greater than 5532. So n has to be greater than or equal to 74. How do you get the number 74? You can just use trial and error. You can first substitute the value of n to be equal to 50. 50 into 51 will be something close to 2500. You can put n to be equal to 60. 60 into 61 will be something close to 3600. You can put n is equal to 70. 70 into 71 will be 4970. You can put n is equal to 80. 80 into 81 will be around 6400. So now you know that it has to lie between 70 and 80, and you can keep checking until you find out that the smallest value of n for which this inequality is satisfied is 74. So the value of n has to be greater than or equal to 74. Now when you substitute the value of k to be equal to n minus 1, you are maximizing n. What is the maximum value of n that is possible? We will again use this. N into n plus 1 by 2 is less than or equal to 2763 plus 2n minus 1. You can simplify this and you can take it to the left hand side. You will figure out that this is equal to n minus 1 into n minus 2 by 2. Why is that the case? Because n into n plus 1 by 2 minus n is equal to n into n minus 1 by 2. And from this, if you are subtracting again minus n minus 1, you can take n minus 1 common. So this will be n by 2 minus 1, which is equal to n minus 1 into n minus 2 by 2. So n minus 1 into n minus 2 by 2 is less than or equal to 2763. Or n minus 1 into n minus 2 has to be less than or equal to 5526. Now what is the smallest value of n minus 2 for which this is satisfied? What is the largest value of n minus 2 for which this is satisfied? Because over here the inequality is less than or equal to. Again, remember what we had earlier. We had n into n plus 1 to be greater than or equal to 5532. Over here we have something similar. The product of two consecutive numbers is less than or equal to 5526. So it is exactly the same but the other way around. Over here the smaller number, that is n minus 2, has to be less than 74. Because the value of 74 into 75 is 5550, which is greater than 5526. So 5550 will be to the right of it. So n minus 2 has to be strictly less than 74, or n has to be strictly less than 76. So So we know that n has to be greater than or equal to 74, and we also know that n has to be strictly less than 76. So there are two possibilities for n. N is either equal to 74 or n is equal to 75. If n is equal to 74, what is the sum of the first 74 natural numbers? It will be 74 into 75 divided by 2. 74 into 75, as we have discussed earlier, is 5550. So dividing that by 2 will give you 2775. And what is the value when n is equal to 75? The sum of the first 75 natural numbers will be 75 into 76 by 2, or 75 into 38, which is equal to 2850. Now, if n is equal to 74, what is the sum of the two consecutive numbers which were removed? That is, what is the value of 2k plus 1? 2k plus 1 will equal n into n plus 1 by 2 minus 2763. So this will be 2775 minus 2763, which is equal to 12. But on the left hand side you have 2k plus 1, and this is equaling 12, or the value of k will be equal to 5.5, which is not a natural number, so the first case is not possible. In the second case, the value of 2k plus 1 will be equal to 2850 minus 2763, which is equal to 87, or the value of k is equal to 43. So the two numbers which are removed are 43 and 44. So the larger of the two numbers which was removed is equal to 44. So the correct answer is 44.